Thank you for visiting Best Bible Commentaries. In this video, I'd like to show you some of the top new releases and commentaries for 2019. The first is the Acts volume in the Story of God Bible Commentary series by Dean Pinter. This is a great volume for Bible studies, Bible study leaders, pastors preaching through the book of Acts. It divides each section of the biblical book into three: listen to the story, explain the story, and live the story. This volume, or this series, is relatively new, being put out by Zondervan Publishing, and there are maybe 6 to 8 volumes at the moment, but more are coming out. Dr. Pinter was kind enough to do a question and answer with me on this volume. If you go to the author interviews page on Best Bible Commentaries, you will be able to read it. Dr. Pinter has a very warm writing style. It's still academic in nature, but there is a reflective application that he offers as well. You can get a sense of his writing style even in the question and answer, but you get it much more in depth in this Acts volume. The next one we'll look at is the Colossians and Philemon volume in the Baker Exegetical Commentary on the New Testament series by G.K. Beale. This series has a new cover now. I'll show you what the old cover looks like. That this one might look familiar to you. There are several volumes in this series, but it has a new cover design now. The series has a new cover design, and G.K. Beale has written the Colossians and Philemon volume. G.K. Beale is probably best known for writing what many consider to be the best academic commentary on Revelation available today, which is this one here in the NIGTC series. You can find out more about this one by looking at the best commentaries on Revelation page on Best Bible Commentaries. Also, another one, and I'm just mentioning this one because sometimes this one gets overlooked in Beale's work, maybe because his Revelation one is so well reviewed, but he also wrote the 1st and 2nd Thessalonians volume in this IVP New Testament Commentary series. This series, if you're not familiar with it, the BECNT, is academic in nature. It's really helpful to be familiar with Greek, to maximize your use of this volume and this series. Beale comes to conservative conclusions about Colossians and Philemon in this volume. And if you know Beale's work, he is a specialist in the New Testament's use of the Old Testament, and that comes through in this volume. The next one that we'll look at is a commentary on Romans by John D. Harvey from the Kriegel Exegetical Library series. It's a nice quality hardback commentary. The CEL series is relatively new. I would guess there's maybe 6 to 8 volumes out at the moment, and more are coming out. John Harvey wrote a volume in the EGGNT series. I can't remember what book it's on, but he is a specialist in the Greek text, and that comes through in this volume. It is, again, helpful to be familiar with Greek to maximize your use of this commentary, but it would be helpful to pastors who are not as sharp in their Greek as well. The next commentary is the John volume in the Zondervan Illustrated Bible Backgrounds Commentary series. Now, you might be familiar with this series because It has been out for a few years. It first came out, I think the entire Bible was covered in maybe 8 to 9 hardback volumes, where there's 4 or 5 Old Testament volumes that were kind of orange hardback, and then the New Testament volumes, there's 4 or 5 that were blue hardback. In recent years, the series has been released in paperback, but it seems that Zondervan is releasing some of the books of the Bible as just individual volumes, and that's what this is. The Zondervan Illustrated Bible Backgrounds Commentary focuses on the historical backdrop, the social backdrop, cultural backdrop of New Testament books. As far as the text is concerned, commentary on the text, it's an introductory commentary. Again, it's very high quality. The pages are very high quality, very thick, and but for example, you can see that in John 8:38, that particular verse gets 2 sentences worth of commentary. John 8:35 gets 2 or 3 sentences worth of commentary. So not as in-depth as other volumes, but this would be great for a Bible study or a pastor who is looking for an overview of the text, or a student who's looking to understand the big picture of John. It's very well illustrated. The pictures are pretty incredible. The color of the maps and the color of the photographs are very well done. Keener is a prolific commentary author, and this is not the last Keener volume that I will be discussing today. So this volume is new. The series, though, the volume in this form, single edition book of the Bible in that particular form, is new, but the series has been around for a few years. Paul House has written a 2-volume series on the book of Isaiah from the Mentor Commentary series. You might be familiar with Paul House. He has written other commentaries. An example I will show you is his volume on 1st and 2nd Kings from the New American Commentary series. He's written a few other commentaries as well, but this one is new for this year. 2 volumes on Isaiah from the Mentor Commentary series. If you're not familiar with the Mentor series, it has some well-reviewed volumes in the series. One that comes to mind is Dr. Kitchen's Proverbs commentary is pretty well-reviewed, but there are others as well. This one, initial reviews are positive, and Dr. House comes to theological conclusions in this commentary. He believes in inerrancy. He believes in the one author approach to understanding this book of the Bible. This would be a great series for pastors, teachers, and professors would be helped by it as well. It's not heavy into Hebrew. It's not technical in nature. But it is in depth. It is thorough. It does interact with modern scholarship. If you haven't seen one of these Mentor commentaries before, this would be a good way to check out the series. The next volume I'd like to show you is a new release from the Tyndale New Testament Commentary series, the TNTC series, on the book of Ephesians, by Darrell, Bock. Bock, you might be familiar with his work. He has written a number of commentaries now. One I showed you just earlier. This is perhaps the most well-reviewed Luke commentary available today. It's in 2 volumes in the BECNT series. His Acts volume in this particular series is very well reviewed also. But this is a new release. on the book of Ephesians. And Darrell, Bock teaches at Dallas Theological Seminary. The nature of this series makes it great for pastors. It's not technical. It does interact with Greek and discuss Greek, but you don't need to be an expert in Greek to utilize and maximize this commentary. It's a little over 200 pages in length for the 6 chapters of Ephesians. And Dr. Bock comes to conservative conclusions, as we would expect if you're familiar with his other work. So another great thing about this particular series is that the volumes are very affordable. The next volume I would like to show you is a one-volume commentary that's recently released at the end of 2019 by Tony Evans. You might have seen Tony Evans on TV before because his preaching ministry is broadcast on TV and on the internet. Tony Evans is a pastor in Dallas, Texas. He is a graduate of Dallas Theological Seminary. He's been writing books for probably 30 years, mostly in the genre of Christian living, but he has a new study Bible out, and he has this one Bible commentary out as well. So, as is typical with one-volume commentaries, paragraphs are described, maybe 5 to 6 verses generally. This one describes 9 verses, so it's more of an overview. This would be a great devotional aid to keep with your Bible for looking at passages that are difficult to understand, or you would just like some help with application. Tony Evans would be helpful to that. There's not a lot of history or theology. A lot of the comments sound like Tony Evans when he's preaching. So if you have heard him preach and you like how he teaches the Bible, his comments in this commentary are very similar to that. So they're going to be application oriented, and he's going to simplify difficult concepts and make them easy to understand. So if that's what you're looking for, this would be a great volume. There are introductions to each book, and there are also links to Bible studies. So Bible studies or devotions is maybe a better way to say it. And so even in this introduction, it gives you this code here, which you can use your phone on, and it will take you to a video intro of Deuteronomy in this case, or there's a URL there too. So there's some extra features online that come with this one-volume commentary. I should also mention that it utilizes the CSB translation of the Bible. Previously, this translation was called HCSB, H for Holman, the publisher. Currently, it's just known as the CSB, Christian Standard Bible Translation. The next volume is Frank Thielmann's Romans contribution to the Exegetical Commentary on the New Testament series by Zondervan. This is a relatively new series. Volumes are still being released. It is a very well-reviewed series, and this has been a very well-reviewed volume. I would expect that very soon that this is going to be considered as one of the best commentaries on the book of Romans. One of the things about evaluating commentaries and reviews on commentaries that they just don't all come out immediately. So one of the factors is just time. Time for people to use the commentary, time for people to review the commentary. When that happens, which is not upon release of the volume, when more time passes and more people become familiar with the volume, it tends to be considered, a volume can be considered among the best on that particular book. I think as time passes, this will become one of the better reviewed commentaries on Romans that are available today. You might be familiar with Frank Thielemann. He wrote the Philippians volume in the NIV application commentary series that has been pretty well reviewed. He's also written a lot of theology books as well. This particular volume has an interesting history. It was originally released at the end of 2018, but what was found, it was that the footnotes at the bottom of the page didn't line up with what was above it, that it was off just a little bit. So they suspended initial publication and then released it with the footnote alignment corrected in early 2019. The volume that you can get right now on the new volumes you get right now on different websites are the corrected version. No one's selling the old version anymore. If you go to the Best Roman Commentary page on Best Bible Commentaries, the links that I have with this particular volume go to the new volume that is corrected. But on some of the early reviews, some were noting that the footnotes didn't line up. That has all been corrected. This is an excellent series. This is an excellent volume. Dr. Thielemann did a Q&A with me on this particular volume. If you go to author interviews on Best Bible Commentaries, then look up Romans, scroll to find Romans, and you will find a link to this Q&A. So I appreciate Dr. Thielemann doing the Q&A with me. Again, if you don't have a volume in this series, this would be a great one to start with, but I would become familiar with this series. It's very helpful, and Zondervan has done a great job with it. It would be great for pastors, great for professors and teachers. The text diagrams of each passage are pretty amazing. I actually wrote an entire article on these diagrams on Best Bible Commentaries. So, again, volumes are still being released in this series. I think there's only 3 Old Testament volumes at the moment, though Dr. Daniel Timmer is working on his contribution. I emailed with him the other day. That looks to be released in 2020. I think the next one scheduled for publication is the Revelation volume written by Dr. Fanning from Dallas Theological Seminary. So we know that, and I think that's scheduled for an April or May release in 2020. But Dr. Fanning is from Dallas, and so he's going to take a dispensational approach to the book of Revelation. And so that's a series to keep an eye on. Also, I forgot to mention that Dr. Bock has done a Q&A with me on this particular volume, which you can access through the author interview page on Best Bible Commentaries. And also, Dr. Beale has done a Q&A with me, which you can access through the author interview page. Appreciate those authors giving me their time. And Dr. Pinter, I think that he did a Q&A with me as well. Dr. Keener also did a Q&A with me this year on this his new Galatians commentary. He is becoming just a prolific commentary author. He has so many out now, covering so many books of the Bible, and I know that he's going strong. This is his Galatians volume. So Kerry Keener, you might be familiar with him. Some of his more well-known commentaries are the Revelation volume in the NIV application commentary series, and then one people took note of a few years ago, hard not to miss, was the 4-volume Acts commentary that he wrote. I think it's almost 5,000 pages on the book of Acts. Pretty amazing. We'll be doing a video on that one at a later date. So Craig Keener's Galatians commentary, he comes to conservative conclusions in this commentary. Again, his strength is with the John volume here, is the historical, social, cultural background of the text. But this volume has been very well reviewed, And I also think that in a matter of time, it's only a matter of time before this is considered one of the top Galatian commentary volumes available today. So it's from Baker Academic. So thank you for watching this overview of some of the top commentaries available that were released in 2019. You can access any of them through the Best Bible Commentaries website. The Tony Evans one-volume, it can be accessed through the one-volume commentary comparison chart that I have on Best Bible Commentaries. I just added this one to that comparison chart. And the others can be accessed through their particular page. So Best Galatians Commentary, you can find out more about Keener's book. Best Isaiah Commentaries, House's book. Best Acts Commentaries. You can access more information on Pinter's book and so forth. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for visiting Best Bible Commentaries.